So, welcome to First Impressions, one of my favorite things to do, which is to work with a tech company, a solution provider in this space, and ask all the questions about how they're going to affect my business and either save me money, make me money, just dive into it and get kind of past the pretense and get right into where these things fit into my world. And I know I will play multiple hats as both Rob Beeler from Beeler.Tech, but Rob Beeler from golf.com. So you might see me asking questions as a publisher myself as we go through these things. And yes, I want to get something right out of the way. I am wearing an Admiral shirt. It is not standard procedure for us to do that, but when else am I going to wear this? I mean, this shirt
Nice.
draws attention, Dan, I got to say. So with me to walk through what Admiral does, talk about, the visitor journey. Dan and I have been on stage plenty of times at Ad Monsters talking about these things, but I want him to let's go through it, all of it, really kind of treat it as if it's the first impression I'm getting of Admiral. So Dan, welcome to First Impressions.
Thank you. This is going to be great, Rob. I appreciate the audience here.
You got it. So I know you've got somewhat of an agenda to go through. Why don't I let you take the controls and let's start showing me stuff.
You got it. So agenda-wise, we're going to start with our mission. Admiral, our mission is saving the free internet one publisher at a time, but what in the world are we saving it from? So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about what's called visitor relationship management, or VRM. Then we'll get into how does it work. We'll dive into both our dashboards and configuration, so you can see behind the scenes a bit. We'll wrap up with kind of how to get started, kind of assuming Rob wants to get started right away. I'll share how you can do that. And then we're going to close with a sneak peek. We've got a really big visitor data launch, first-party data module coming out later this year, and we're taking beta participants. So just want to give you a sneak peek of that. All right, but let's start with what our mission is. What's our why? So our why starts up here in the top right corner, the internet's core business model. For the first couple of decades of the internet, it's been all about tracking people and shooting ads at them, right? When we show up on websites, they track us and they shoot ads at us, and that's what's funded content for a while. But there's a massive privacy and user empowerment wave that is just bulldozing through the category and reshaping the business model is going to pay for the internet. Started with ad and data blockers. We've got paywalls or convention floating in. We've got GDPR, CCPA, privacy consent, which operates almost like a regulatory ad blocker that's eating away at the business. We got death of the cookie coming next year. It's already happening in some browsers and it's going to be massive next year. Killing off the third-party tracking, so you need to build first-party relationships. There's going to be another 10 horses of the apocalypse over the next decade, and so publishers need something to help here. So pubs are losing billions of dollars already. The worst is still to come. We think the future is all about first-party, consent-based visitor relationships and revenue. And so what I mean by that is it will no longer be sufficient to just kind of like hide behind your site, track people, and shoot ads. You're going to have to stick your hand out and say hello and build a relationship with the visitor. And the publishers that do that are going to separate themselves from the rest.
I think that point right there is so critical. And again, you've seen me go on the soapbox around that particular piece, which is your relationship with your audience is the only way to future-proof against. And I love your analogy, right? All the horses of the apocalypse. There are going to be more than 4 in our industry, right? And I feel like that there's a part there that we've gotten by as digital brands, publishers as digital brands, where people surf and they go around and they kind of find us and whatever, and then they engage and they go deeper and they form a relationship with us, and it's almost like we're scared to share what our value proposition is. And so I look at this and go, like, we couldn't be more aligned in terms of this need to sit there and redefine kind of the relationship with our audience, our users, our visitors, whatever words you want to use. But like, this is now the front line of what we have to do to protect our businesses.
Absolutely. The platforms that we rely on so much and we curse at times, whether it's a Google or a Facebook or an Apple or what have you, they did this a long time ago. They doubled down on a direct relationship with that visitor, and that's why they're in the position they are. And so pubs need to do that going forward. Now, let me step back for a second. Unfortunately, billions of dollars of ad tech companies are out there, and yet they were built to shoot ads as efficiently as possible. They weren't built to build relationships with visitors. It's just it's more MarTech than it is ad tech. And so a new platform was needed, and that's what we call visitor relationship management. So what is VRM? It starts with one tag up here at the top, free tag, put it on your site, we'll size revenue opportunities for you. There's a bunch of data that you're missing today. Your dashboards are broken because of the way blockers have impacted the internet. Then if you want us to drive new revenue across a mix of different ways, our relationship manager kicks in, and we can do everything down here on the bottom. We can do ad block recovery. We're the only one in the world that does the combo of full stack recovery and AA if you want it. We can do email capture, registrations, social growth, mobile app downloads, paid subscriptions and donations, and paywalls, the full stack subscriptions for you. Privacy consent, GDPR, CCPA, everything is coming across the US states. And so I'll just highlight two key innovations here. One is the one tag approach, but it's not just one tag for like one vendor's capability. It's like one tag that unfolds into like 6 vendors worth of capability without writing a single line of code. And so you don't have to keep going back, grabbing sprint cycles from your dev team. The second innovation here is this horizontal journey approach. So some publishers have kind of cobbled together a Frankenstein of their own VRM system of like 5 different point solutions. But the problem is each point solution is focused on their goal, their part of the journey. They don't know the rest of the journey. And so they'll screw it up and they'll step on top of each other. That's why sometimes we all show up at websites that ask us 3 questions all at once. It's because the point solutions aren't taking care of the full journey, and we'll do that for you. To be clear, you don't have to use us for everything. You can use one of our modules. You can use 2 of our modules. Eventually, we hope that you'll use all of our modules, but we can help coordinate even when you got other vendors in the mix to make sure the journey is optimal for your visitors.
It certainly feels, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I was just going to say, it feels like, again, you can start to develop kind of a holistic approach to this, right? And again, depending on where you are as a publisher, you might be focused on privacy, to your point, and ad block, use those modules, but again, you're using one platform to be able to kind of connect those things together where, again, versus going out and trying to find different point solutions and hope they work.
Absolutely. I will say when we first entered the category years ago, everyone was in silos. Everything was separate fire drills. And hopefully a little bit because of us, but also because of what's going on in the industry, the concept of the overall visitor relationship is getting talked about more. The concept of the CRO that sits across all of it is getting talked about more. The concept of ARPU across all of these silos is talked about more. And so ultimately, you're going to want a platform that treats your visitor in that way and move away from kind of the Frankenstein over time. All right, so that's the framework of this, but what does it really look like in the wild? This is an example. NBC Universal did a big bake-off. This was ad block focus, chose us best in class. We detect more blockers than anyone else. We get more blockers off. We invented one-click allow listing, surge allow listing, AI-based allow listing, just a bunch of different things to get blockers off. To be clear, we don't trick blockers. We're not sneaking ads past visitors, anything like that. This is about being transparent, about having a conversation, about supporting content that you love. And when you do it authentically with an intelligent system, blockers will come off. And when they do, it unlocks your full ad stack, your full data stack. We can also do kind of ad light recovery. This is what is essentially the business model of the blockers. And we can do that as well. Unfortunately, it's kind of like remnant monetization. And so to the degree that you do it, you ultimately want to do the combo, which is full stack recovery. And then from a yield optimization standpoint, if you don't recover someone on that page view, maybe they flow into ad light as a backup plan. That's really how you get maximum recovery.
Well, and to that, right, you're recovering like if I'm doing a full recovery like you're doing with NBC, I'm recovering my opportunity to sell, do my direct advertising, right? I think that's a key piece, right? So in other words, there's ad block recovery that gets me an ad served and some monetization, which great. But if I've got actual direct sold that's a much higher CPM, then I want that. I really want people to turn off their blockers on my site versus just scraping whatever I can get. I mean, again, it's a you
Absolutely.
could probably make that decision, right? In terms of I'll take something over nothing, but I certainly want to put forward, why don't you allow me to serve my ads? Let's get that relationship.
Absolutely. The direct, the video, all the high impact, high value units, you're only going to get those from full stack recovery. But it is like yield optimization, right? Why would you ever have one bidder for an impression? In the same way, why would you only have one bidder for a blocker? And basically by running the combo, you're picking up in both scenarios. Someone that loves you enough to turn off their blocker, great, get maximum RPMs. If they're not sure yet, fine, get the remnant RPMs, and maybe later you'll pick up the maximum. All right, email capture, going into the rest of the VRM, email capture and registrations. You can see here, this is actually a combo engage that offers up allow list or email. But to be clear, these are intelligent engages. And so this only shows this way because we know it's a blocker. If it wasn't a blocker, it would just be a straight email ask or some other combo of asks. Same thing with registration. This is really, really hot right now. Everyone should be getting folks registered with their sites. We can power all of that. We do the account management and everything. We have an SSO behind it to the degree you wanted registration that flowed across sites. We can take care of that for you. We can drive all of your social follows. We've got all the different platforms. We can also drive your mobile app downloads as well. And then lastly, donations and subscriptions, again, soup to nuts, without writing a single line of code. This Jimmy Goodman from Capital Broadcasting, he was using this for AdBlock. We say, hey, listen, we can take you live with subscriptions in a day. He didn't believe us. We took him live, and he liked it so much that Capital Broadcasting ended up investing in us. And then lastly, GDPR, CCPA, and all other privacy consent needs, we provide that. You know, you can think about privacy consent either as a compliance thing, and so it's a drudgery, I'm doing this for compliance reasons, or you can realize that it is part of the overall relationship, right? It's not this separate compliance topic. It is part of the relationship, and so it's a natural part of VRM.
I'll just add my thought on that just real quick, right? Which is, in some sense, I really love what you just said. And it's something for the people that are probably on this call more than the people that should be on this call in some respect. And what I mean by that is, if you go by how the attorneys approach privacy and approach these things, you will do the minimal amount for the minimum amount of risk, right? You're playing a game here, and there's an aspect that if you turn that and you flip that and say, if you believe in us as a brand and we are trustworthy with your data and with these things, this is a positive. Let's check that box, accept it, let's move on. And by the way, consider, you know, I don't think we'll ever add this to the statement, but there'd be a part of going like, and don't, where you don't feel safe, right? Like that's where premium publishers should stand out. Privacy compliance should eventually be something the top companies are able to do, not because of cost, but because of relationship and brand. And that there was something in the way you just said that made me really think about the fact that, again, I've got attorneys just sitting there just going like, let's just ask the minimal amount. And you kind of go like, change the question, change the dynamic of the way we talk.
Yeah. One of the leaders on our team mentioned a great aha moment when he said, listen, the EU and GDPR was a test case in starting where no one has said yes to anything. And by talking to visitors, you're now in a world to where 60, 70% plus of people have said yes to ads and personalization, which is crazy. They started without it and said yes to it. And so it's just a great example of if you talk to people, you'll get the results that you want in the relationship you want. And then, you know, those are all cool capabilities, but it's like, does anybody use Admiral? Well, luckily, a whole bunch of people use Admiral, you know, whether it's, we got long tail because we got self-serve sign up, a whole bunch of people just come in and sign up and get going. We've got SMB. and we've got tons of enterprise as well. To just kind of wrap on a couple data points. So if you liked what you saw and we were going to get started, one of the questions that often comes somewhere in the mix is, how are you guys priced? How does this work? How easy is it? So number one, there's no platform fee. So you're not just like paying something to do business with Admiral. We are all about driving results for you. You start with a free analytics tag, and that's the first thing we do after this call is we get a tag on your site to just size the opportunity for you. Every module that I describe, you could flick on without going back to your developer team. Adblock recovery is 100% performance priced. Paid subs and donations is 100% performance priced. Email, social consent is just a straight SaaS fee that's driven off of site size. And then lastly, just the kind of buying process or partnering process with us. This step one is kind of the call we're doing right now, right? I would be discovering what you're looking for in a platform, which of these modules maybe is most interesting to you right now. Then we'd get the tag live, and then we'd do step two, which is we will size for you the opportunity, again, giving you data to make decisions, but also to share with your decision makers internally. Then we'll have a strategy consultation. We have revenue and visitor journey experts that can white glove the entire journey for you or have a very healthy back and forth on your goals. And then lastly, signing up an MSA together. And we always launch with goals, right? It's not just like turn it on and then like go have fun. It is, what is the goal, right? Are we trying to achieve a certain revenue number? Are we trying to achieve a certain subscriber number? And our team works with you to make those happen. All right. So from that,
yeah,
again,
let's see some
a few more visuals here so you can see it live in action. So this is again an ad block example. We detect more blockers than anyone else. Instructions for a whole bunch of them. Most people know how to turn off their blocker. Plus, as I mentioned before, we invented one-click allow list as well. Just all this is configurable on brand, on message. New York Post, again, tying in with their look and feel. Golf, tying in with your look and feel. We've got golf has some really nice ones. We have like the golfers like bending over a putt and stuff like that, which is really beautiful, nicely done.
Amazing site. I love what golf.com is doing.
Yeah, they're incredible. Here's an example, Board Panda. They did this kind of fun little image and fun little words. It makes a difference if you're showing some personality when you're talking to folks. This is an example with email capture. SureDog, again, intelligent here. This happens. I'm running a blocker right now, so I'm getting both offers. We're the only ones that we've seen in the industry that are tying together email capture, registration, social, mobile app down with a reward system. So you could deliver a day of ad free for an email address or 2 days of ad free for download a mobile app. And it juices your conversion rates. Anyway, it's just an interesting thing that we figured out coming from the Adblock side into this, that ad-free, a page view or a day is a gift that keeps giving that you can use to drive relationships. This is subscriptions. By the way, this is fuzzy just because I have a blur for privacy reasons. We handle the entire transaction, credit card processing. Publisher doesn't have to touch credit cards or deal with the regulatory aspects of it. And we send money to the pub at the end of every month based off of subscribers. We also do the automatic gating of premium content versus non-premium to make sure that subscribers are only getting to what they're allowed. And then lastly is this VRM bot that I mentioned before, which allows really, it's the brains of the relationship between publisher and visitor. It captures all of their data. It captures their subscriber status. It even prompts for more data capture, right? So in this instance, you can see it says add your location because it didn't know I was Gainesville, Florida. And so great, I'll put in Gainesville, Florida, save. And now, that's been added. And again, we're going to talk about our visitor data product, which puts this on steroids.
One of the things as you're about to dive into this particular piece, you show just a number of different implementations. And I could see as a publisher that different environments to different times of the year, there's any number of opportunities around this where I might try different strategies and so forth. And what I'm seeing is, and I think you answered this question, but I just want to make sure I understand, because of the way that you've got this configured, and you're going to get into this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to evolve. I'm going to be able to sit there and say, let's just start with ad blocking, but then let's try a subscription product, but maybe I'm just doing that in one particular scenario, right? Or I want to get email, but I want to do it in this particular way. It seems like all of those things are things that can evolve as I'm evolving my strategy.
100%. You know, this is a demo, so I'm showing you kind of everything that is possible. But what normally happens is we bring you back to what is the one thing, right? What's your top priority? Let's go solve that. And then the additional things can be turned on, but like don't get confused by the breadth of what's possible, because we're going to come in and solve one thing. We do have publishers who are very advanced in these topics. They bring the CRO in, they bring other silos in. They're like really excited about everything it can do. And to be honest, we say, hey, wait a minute. Like, no. We're going to zero in on one thing. We're going to nail that thing with you. We're going to build trust in us, you know, trust in working together, and then we're going to turn on the rest. And so there's always kind of a phased approach to how you get from here to there.
Well, that phase approach really starts with just getting a tag on the page to start to size up the opportunity, right? Which I think is what we're looking at now. So please talk about the dashboard.
Yeah, great segue here. So this is the dashboard you get upon signing up, and of course, if tag is not on page, there's nothing sitting in this dashboard. You get tag on page, we're going to give you we often have publishers ask us, like, what do you think our block rate is, or what do you think our subscription opportunity is, and it's like, we have a bunch of data and we can give you ideas. The best way is you drop the tag on, and you're going to be dealing with real data, because you end up questioning whatever assumptions we make for you anyway. So you might as well get the real data. So if you put the tag on, this is what you see. There's nothing sitting here in recovered revenue because we haven't started anything there, but you do see your lost revenue. You can see, you know, this in context of your allowed page views and your blocked page views. This site here is just getting crushed. They've almost got as many blocked users as they do blocked page views as allowed. All of this stuff is, you know, in table format, can be downloaded, exported, reported, emailed, etc. In addition, let's see, once you turn on, this would be the ad block recovery module, you'll see something like this. Starting here, the red line was the block page views, and we immediately drove those to the floor, and recovered page views start kicking in immediately. Again, every one of those page views you were not monetizing before, you are monetizing now at full stack levels. So there's just a lot of money to be had. Then you get into journey analytics. Journey analytics, if you think about any of these offers, whether it's a subscription offer or an email offer, an ad block offer, it's all part of journeys. And so you want to start to understand some analytics around how are my journeys performing, right? How many people are seeing them? How many people are converting, etc. And so we give you full journey analytics so that you can just really tune in what is working the best. And when we get into configuration, you'll see all of the targeting options that we have. And so to the degree that you come back over to here and say, oh, this is interesting. So when I targeted people from Google, here's that journey. When I targeted people from Facebook, here's that journey. And you can learn from that along the way. And then paid subscriptions, this area, again, now you're moving beyond just conversions into the dollars of those conversions, right? So you can get into the revenue it's driving, the monthly recurring revenue it's driving, which offers are performing, right? You may have like a baseline offer, but then when summer comes along, you do a summer offer. And then when Black Friday comes along, you do a Black Friday offer. And you've got an annual versus an introductory. We give you all of that intel here to power it. And then lastly, consent analytics as well. We give you a full read on full consent, partial consent, no consent. We give it to you both in terms of the people who saw the CMP, the ask, what did they do? And then there's another report which is separate from whether they saw the ask. just the traffic that you are coming in. What is the consent state of that traffic? All right, so I'm going to pause there. Just showed a bunch of analytics before I go into config. Any questions, or we're good?
No, I think continue. Again, it's you're covering a lot of ground and a lot of really interesting things, and the metrics there, that point around consent, I think is something people to recognize. Again, you want to really get that sense from multiple angles. So yeah, please
Perfect.
dive in.
All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm jumping into the journey designer. This is the main place that you and our white glove team would set up your journeys. I created kind of a mocked up multi-option journey here. Number one, you can see the flow of the journey. So it's this idea, there's no delay before the first engage. Then there's an engage. It goes 3 engagements waiting a day each. Then it moves on to the next type of engage. And in this instance, it's going to say something different or offer something different. Do that 3 times, once per day before moving on to the last one, which in this case was kind of our magic messaging, which is generative AI-based messaging that's ad block only. Do that. And then at the end, cycle back. So that's like the concept of a journey. All of that is backed by, let me just close this out. It got tired while I was in demo mode. All of that is backed by incredible targeting options, right? So you can target by ad block status, subscription status, domain, device type, browser, location, URL path, custom targeting. If you have any data points or segments that are unique for you that you would like to target on that, like you have VIPs or you have forum admins or something like that, we can target on all of that stuff. And then we also have some automatic AI generated segments in here as well, page popularity and visitor surges. So instead of the journey just being deterministic, that it happens over so many page views or what have you, we learn on the fly and we say, listen, this article is surging, right? It just went viral on social and it's exploding. You actually want to kick in a different journey in that case to get those people, because you have more value to exchange when one of your articles is surging. And so you should make the ask, and it will pay off for months and months and months. A single article spike can pay off handsomely.
Dan, if I could just weigh in real quick for everyone to think about with that, which is,
Yep.
that is a conversation. I've actually heard of some publishers having that conversation between editorial and the business side to sit there and truly understand the capability versus being locked in. For someone that's had viral stories and going, well, we have our gate up. We're not like, we gate this kind of content because there's no ability to do that, to sit there and go, and something is surging and having a monetization plan around that. And again, it can be, hey, what a great article to grab someone's email address, to let's just get them into the content. Like, there's a number of different scenarios that you on the monetization side can have with editorial that is much more advanced than, do we gate our content or don't we? And I really kind of feel like that's the future of where, again, you said that this is kind of AI learned. Like there's some aspect of this. This is where we let that decide. Let the journey and the KPIs decide versus anecdotally, my editor feels this is going to be a viral article, so we're not going to gate it, or those types of conversations. So I see that, I hear that advancing, and that part right there really brings that home for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every article is not of equal value, right? You're doing a value exchange. And so first you need to recognize every article is not of equal value, and you don't want to realize it like a week later. And you're like, wow, that was an awesome spike. That would have been cool to do. No, you want to realize it in real time and take advantage. Actually, I think I got an interesting visual on that. Actually, no, I floated it out. All right. So that's a targeting, that's a journey. Now let's focus in on an engage. And I went a little overboard here, and I actually did a three offer engage. You can do as many offers as you like. In this case, it's allow list or sign up or register. And I just did that just to show the power of the platform. You pick the type of offer that it is, type of engage, the layout of that engage. the assets for it, like logos and things like that. The messaging to be used on any of those pieces is all configurable. I'll take this opportunity right now to brag about our team. We were the first one in the industry to get something out incorporating generative AI. You know, when everyone's talking about generative AI, and it's like, wow, that's cool, and talking about kind of cost savings opportunities with generative AI. We're excited. We got a revenue driver out based on generative AI. And so number one, what it does is it drives any of these messages with automated messaging based off of the sentiment that you might want, the length you might want, the content taxonomy that you care about. You know, in this case, this would be like gaming or puzzles or what have you. And you click generate message, and it will generate a quality message on the fly. We'll get to in a minute variants, so that then you could create variants and they automatically run against each other. So going back, you can change all of these styles, colors, buttons, etc. And then offers, back to what I was saying about how you can move offers around, etc. You know, I've got a newsletter offer. I'm now going to switch that over there. I've got a registration offer. I'm going to switch it over. Like, you can just move. It's incredible. The product team has just done a phenomenal job. And so that's engage configuration. And then lastly, again, I already talked to you about the generative AI piece. If I add a variant, so right now this is an engage that was using generative AI. I can come in again, have it generate another message, save it. Let's see. Have I made a change yet? I haven't made it change. Let's have it generate. Not going to touch any of the other things. Let's see if this works on the fly here. In my
you're going right off. You're doing a demo live here. This is,
all right.
You know.
All right. So it came up with something crazy to say. It was humorous. But what it did here is it created a variant, right? And so now we've got our main running to 80%. We've got the variant running to 20%. The system will automatically run those against each other, pick the best performer, run with best performer, and that can happen over and over and over again, so that the system auto optimizes up and to the right. And you can either do that broad-based optimization, or you can do it segment-based. So again, you know, people coming from Google, let's play with messaging there, because that may be different than people coming from Facebook. To be clear, it's not just about A/B testing messaging. Every one of the CTAs, the colors, etc., could be changed to optimize messaging. And then let's see, last couple little teasers here. Number one is an example that CBS is showing here, where I've described about 8 different asks for different things. But to be honest, the sky is the limit. So CBS is an example where they have just started to use this for whatever they want to ask about. We have an open-ended convert module. And so in this case, they were just trying to convert people to go check out, you know, their masters.com streaming. They're using it for their March Madness pick'em. They're using it for a whole mix of things. Any goal you have as a revenue leader, we can ultimately drive to that goal. And then lastly is the teaser on the visitor data launch coming later this year. So we already do visitor data capture for you. We just happen to do it for kind of a defined set of fields, right? So name, location, et cetera, role. But we've had publishers saying, you know, I'd like to do 100 different data points. Like, can you help me with that? I'd like to, let's go get household income. Let's make sure we've got gender, all that sort of stuff. And can you help us with that? And so that's what's coming later this year. It is open-ended visitor data capture. So think of this like a CRM. I don't know if any of you have used HubSpot or what have you, to where you start to understand your visitors at a, you know, they're a person. They're not a data point, right? Who is the person here? Combined with, let me see if I can go through some of this. You can see you could start to filter all of your users based off of any of this criteria. So start to create a segment. You could use that segment for advertising. You could use that segment for journey targeting. You can focus on birthday. Let me see what we end up doing here. You know, birthday, they, you know, do they hate cats? You know, what's their favorite dog? Again, anything you want. what's probably going to happen in some of the early pubs we're talking to is, there's about 8 key data points that drive the majority of your personalized ad spend. And so number one, make sure you have that for everybody that is coming to your site. Then on top of that, to the degree that you're running direct and you care about dog lovers and you're trying to size your dog lover segment, not only could we help you size it, we can go grow it right then immediately. From a journey standpoint, we can go out there and push out polls that are like, do you like dogs or cats? Things like that. So anyway, this is coming, and we would ask that you reach out to us to let us know if you'd like to be a part of the beta that's coming out. We've got some really impressive pubs that are already asked to be a part of it, but we do want to make sure we're getting a mix of verticals and a mix of sizes and everything in the beta, because this is a really big launch coming.
That's great. And I think again, this idea, again, it's this holistic visitor relationship piece, right? Where, again, if I'm a publisher and I'm starting to weigh in more, well, again, I've got multiple strategies to future-proof for where things are going, right? And one of those is going to be email address. Collecting email address and working off that particular thing, that's covered, right?
Yep.
But there's also this idea of adding additional information, tying it to that same solution, as well as then going, well, I can also use that first party data for targeting. And again, I know almost immediately everyone right now is going, what about scale? What about scale? What about scale? I am of the opinion, don't worry about scale yet. Figure out how to get data, work with what you have, and then there could be some things that we can do down the road to collaborate to grow scale and so forth. But if you're not collecting it, then you have zero scale and you've got no piece of that. And I also think that there's an aspect of really thinking through those questions of what you ask, right? Just, again, goes to your brand. And I'm going to use the golf.com as the example. I'm not sure we would ask this question, but we could sit there and say, like, what's your handicap, right? That is actually probably more important than asking gender or household income. Because if I can get, if I get that handicap and I can target ads very specifically or design creative specifically, or take someone down a journey that says, you have, like, this is what your handicap is. You need to be in part of our subscription program. You need to be a member, right? Like, there's this way of thinking that we are just starting to tap into. And keep in mind, the reason why I'm, pushing and you see me so animated on this is you're about to have the carpet pulled underneath your feet with third-party cookies going away. And there's gonna be a lot less signal, and you got to start working on how to actually get signal, and you have that kind of control. So I think that this part, it really, really is important.
Definitely.
I have
one extra color, Rob. One extra color I would put on that is that our talks with pubs heading into this is that there was a wave of like, go get your DMP, get your CDP, et cetera, that has happened. And what kind of happened was they grabbed these like data vacuums that like sucked up a whole bunch of data. And then they started paying for a whole bunch of data, even though they weren't sure how they're going to leverage it yet. We're actually trying to go the opposite direction, right? Because all of our other things are so performance-based. We are focused on how do you shorten the time as much as possible between a data capture and the revenue from that data capture, right? It's not for us. We're not just trying to be a big, so we can say, hey, we got a huge corpus, and so you got to pay us a whole bunch of money of all this data we've sucked up. It is about how do we help you grab data that you're going to turn into revenue immediately, and then go do it again, and go do it again, and go do it again. And we're the actual tool to go get it, right? We're not just a tool to like hold on to it. Like, we have it for you, and we'll go get it for you.
That's great. That's great. Question from you, for you. First party declared versus first party inferred data, compare and contrast and overlaps of what those mean into the future. Can you talk again about how all of these particular pieces of first party data strategy are going to play out as things change?
Yeah, all of the above. You're going to want both of those. You and I had a fun back and forth about zero party data, on stage. You're going to need all of it. The thing I note is that the kind of the first party inferred is there's kind of a lot of that out there right now. Good tools for first party declared aren't there yet, right? Like we're still getting ourselves there. And so you want a system that thinks holistically about the visitor relationship and about the first party data, and not just thinking in inferred terms and not just thinking in declared terms, but the full picture of that visitor.
Great. Dan, thank you for, again, I think setting the stage for, again, what I think is an important topic, talking about your approach to it and getting even to the point of implementation. I mean, you covered a lot of ground in actually a pretty short period of time here. From my last ask of you, if a publisher is interested in talking to you further, what's your next step? What's the CTA?
So the CTA, because it's you and I on this call, is to email me, Dan@getadmiral.com. Email me, Dan@getadmiral.com. I'll get you to the right person. And if you'd like to be a part of the visitor data beta, we'll get you into the visitor data beta.
The visitor data beta. I like that. That rolls off the tongue. Dan, thank you so much for your time today. And thanks for everyone that's watching and so forth. And now you know how to get a hold of Dan. And let's continue this conversation. This one to me is one of the most important things we can do as publishers right now. So thank you.
Thank you. This was great.